This lesson is on graphing and comparing functions. We're going to start with the basics of graphing and then move into comparing functions. I've broken this video up into two separate videos just to make sure that it downloads a little bit more quickly for you. So the first video will be focusing on the graphing portion. Whenever you have an equation is typically shown in multiple forms. The most common form that you see is slope-intercept form, where we say y equals mx plus b. The m represents the slope. Slope is typically represented by the letter m, and that is known as rise over run. It's your constant rate of change. So how much change occurs from one point to the next on a graph? The y-intercept is the place where the graph of this line will cross the y-axis. And so what I typically encourage the students to think is it's the beginning point. It's where you begin. So y-intercept is where you begin, and you will always begin by plotting the point somewhere on the y-axis. Once you've plotted it on your y-axis, once you begin on the y-axis, from there you do your rise over your run to find your next ordered pair. In this first problem, it says that we are to identify the slope and the y-intercept. You want to go to your slope-intercept form where y equals mx plus b. So whatever number is preceding the x, it's your coefficient of x, that is going to be your slope. So in this problem, if you look at the x, the number that is preceding it, the coefficient of x is the 3 here. So the slope is 3. The y-intercept is the number that's the constant that usually in this form would be behind, but it's the number that does not have a variable. So in this case right here, there's your y-intercept. The y-intercept is -2. It's important to note that when you're trying to find the slope and the y-intercept, make sure that this is already written in y equals mx plus b form, where the y is the only thing on one side of the equal symbol, and then the terms behind it are your x term first, and then the constant, the lone number, second. This problem illustrates what I was just referring to. Notice this is not in y equals mx plus b form, slope-intercept form, because y is not isolated. There's also a 2x and a 3 on this side. We want to first write this in slope-intercept form. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to move this 2x away from it. We're going to subtract 2x from both sides. 2x minus 2x will cancel. 3y equals, remember I said we want that x term to be written first, so we're going to write this x term, and notice it's a -2x. That sign goes with the 2, so it's like -2x, and then we have this 6 right here, so the plus 6. Now we have a 3 in front of the y, so what am I going to do? I'm going to divide every single term here by 3. 3 divided by 3 will cancel, and I'll be left with y equals. What we want to do is we want to take this negative and put it to the side, because it's the same as whether it's on the top or to the side. We want to take this fraction here, 2/3, and put it next so that it matches our slope here. And then the x part comes behind, and we simplify this. 6 divided by 3 would be +2. So now our slope is equal to -2/3. That is the number in front of the x, and then the y-intercept, the one on the end, the y-intercept is 2. So now if you're going to use an equation to graph, first thing you want to identify is your slope and your y-intercept. The slope is going to be the number in front of x, so in this case it's 3. The y-intercept is -2. And so from here, what you're going to do is you're going to begin with the b. Always on the y-axis, right here, you begin by plotting the -2. And once you've plotted your first point at -2, you're now going to use your slope. Now this slope does not really show us our rise over our run, so we want to first make it a fraction. Rise 3, run 1. So from this point, we're going to rise 1, 2, 3, run 1. Rise 1, 2, 3, run 1. What I encourage my students to always do is if it had a negative, you put the negative on top. So you're either going to rise or you're going to fall. But that way you can always run to the right. So what you'll do then is you will connect your dots here, and they will make a straight line. And that will show you your equation of the line for y equals 3x minus 2. One more problem. On this problem that we solved before, remember we said it wasn't in slope-intercept form. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and solve for y. So again, we move the 2x first by subtracting it. 2x minus 2x will go away. I'll be left with 3y equals, that x term needs to come first, so negative 2x, then that positive 6 from up here. Now we got to get rid of the 3, so we're going to divide every single thing here by 3. 3's will cancel. We'll be left with y equals, this negative goes in the front, then we have 2/3 x, this simplifies to 2. So my slope in this problem is negative 2/3. Now I'm going to put that negative on top, like I said and suggested before. And then the y-intercept, the beginning point, is 2. You always begin on the y-axis, so we start by plotting the point 2. Now, with that negative being on top here with our rise of negative 2 and our run of 3, we want to rise negative 2, which means we're really going to fall 2. And remember I said we run to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to fall 2, 1, 2, run to the right, 1, 2, 3. So then from here, you're going to draw a straight line among these points. And then that will represent the equation 2x plus 3y equals 6. So again, make sure that you watch the second part of these notes. I'm about to put the link right after it, so you can go ahead and look at the second or part 2 of the graphing and comparing functions.